Most women think the secret to attraction is giving more attention, more energy, more availability. But the truth is, what pulls men in isn't how much you give. It's what you take away. When you break away, when you create distance, when you show you don't need him, that's when he feels the strongest pull toward you, because nothing triggers desire more than scarcity, and nothing commands respect more than self-control. When you look at human behavior, one principle stands out above all. People want what they feel they cannot fully have. This isn't about games, manipulation, or tricks. It's about human psychology. Scarcity creates value. When something is rare, it instantly becomes more desirable. If it's everywhere, easily accessible, and constantly available, people stop paying attention to it. Think about it. A luxury item like a limited edition watch or handbag carries a different kind of weight because it is hard to find, because not everyone can get their hands on it. The same dynamic applies to relationships. Men don't chase what they know they can have at any moment. They chase what feels elusive, what makes them lean in, what doesn't bend to their every demand. And when a woman creates that sense of distance, when she shows she has a life, a purpose, and an identity outside of the man, she instantly raises her value. Now, let's be clear. Distance does not mean coldness or cruelty. It doesn't mean ignoring texts just to prove a point or playing some childish game. Distance means you have your own rhythm in life that doesn't stop or slow down just because someone has shown interest in you. It means you are not waiting around for validation, not structuring your entire emotional state around whether or not he reaches out, not making yourself an accessory to someone else's world. Scarcity in this sense comes from self-respect, from having standards, from refusing to hand over all your time and energy like an open tap. When men sense that, when they realize they are not the center of your orbit, it wakes them up. They feel they need to work harder, to invest more, to earn a place in your world. There's a reason people become addicted to the chase. It's not just cultural conditioning, it's biological. The human brain is wired to seek reward, and the dopamine system lights up not when the reward is given freely, but when it feels uncertain and requires effort. If everything is guaranteed, the excitement dies. But if there's a question mark, if he feels like he might lose you, if he senses that you are not entirely within his grasp, that uncertainty fuels attraction. It makes him think about you more. It makes him wonder what you're doing. It makes him want to bridge the gap that you created by simply living on your terms. Scarcity heightens anticipation, and anticipation is what creates intensity in human connections. Most women fall into the trap of overcompensating when they like someone. They give too much too soon, thinking that the more they show care, attention, and availability, the more he will appreciate them. But the opposite happens. The more freely available you are, the less he values your presence. You become background noise, always there, always accessible, and therefore forgettable. By pulling back, you remind him that your attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. You shift the balance of power, not by force, but by choice. You're showing him through your actions that your world doesn't shrink just because he entered it, that he doesn't automatically own your time or energy, and that he has to earn his place. What makes this powerful is that it doesn't just attract the right kind of attention. It filters out the wrong kind. When a woman practices distance rooted in self-worth, the men who only want convenience, control, or an ego boost will fall away. They don't want to work for it, they don't want to put in the effort, and so they move on to someone easier. And that's exactly what you want, because you don't need someone who only wants you when you're easy to access. You want someone who sees your value, respects your boundaries, and chooses to step up when challenged. Scarcity, then, becomes not just a magnet but a shield. It draws in the right energy while deflecting the wrong. Respect is not something you demand, it's something you command through the way you carry yourself, the standards you uphold, and the energy you project. Emotional detachment is one of the strongest ways to command that respect. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care or that you are incapable of love. It means you refuse to let your emotions be controlled or dictated by another person's behavior. When you detach, you stop giving someone else the power to define your worth, to pull your strings, or to determine how you feel about yourself. You stand firm in who you are, and that strength becomes undeniable. Men notice it instantly because it creates contrast. Most people are reactive. They chase harder when someone pulls away. They cling tighter when they feel uncertain, and they collapse when they sense rejection. A woman who doesn't fall into those patterns stands out, and that difference demands respect. Emotional detachment is about clarity. When you are too emotionally invested too quickly, your judgment becomes clouded. You excuse bad behavior, you tolerate things you know deep down are unacceptable, and you lower your boundaries in the hope of keeping someone close. But when you detach, you see things for what they are. You can observe a man's actions without getting lost in how much you want him to like you. You can evaluate whether his behavior aligns with your standards without filtering it through the fear of losing him. Detachment allows you to pause and say, "Is this what I want, or am I just afraid of letting go?" That pause is powerful. It puts you in control of the dynamic because you are no longer ruled by desperation or insecurity. One of the strongest signals you can send a man is that your emotions are not up for sale. When he realizes that you don't crumble when he withdraws, when you don't chase when he pulls back, when you don't beg for his attention or reassurance, it forces him to see you differently. He understands you are not someone he can manipulate with hot and cold behavior. He realizes he has to bring consistency, effort, and respect if he wants to keep your interest. That shift in dynamic doesn't just change how he treats you, it changes how you feel about yourself. Detachment becomes a shield that protects your emotional well-being while simultaneously elevating your value in his eyes. Another truth about emotional detachment is that it magnifies the power of your presence. When you are calm, self-contained, and steady in your emotions, it unsettles people who are used to controlling others through drama, chaos, or emotional games. They can't get a rise out of you, they can't provoke you into chasing, and they can't make you beg for crumbs of attention. That stability becomes a form of dominance in the relationship, not because you're trying to overpower him, but because you're showing him you don't operate on his terms, you operate on your own. Men respect women who are centered because it makes them realize they have to show up as better versions of themselves if they want to stay in your life. Detachment also makes you unpredictable in the best way. If you are emotionally dependent, your reactions are easy to anticipate. You will always answer the call, always say yes to plans, always be there no matter how poorly you are treated. But when you're detached, you're not predictable because your actions are guided by standards, not by emotions. Sometimes you'll say no, sometimes you'll walk away, sometimes you'll stay silent rather than react. That unpredictability creates intrigue and forces a man to stay on his toes. He cannot take you for granted because he knows you are not bound by emotional dependency. That uncertainty fuels attraction while also reinforcing respect. At the heart of emotional detachment is self-mastery. It is the ability to feel deeply but still remain in control of how you express those feelings. It is the strength to love without losing yourself, to care without collapsing, and to invest without abandoning your standards. A man who sees a woman in control of her emotions understands he is dealing with someone who cannot be easily broken, someone who will not bend just to please him, someone who values herself above his approval. That kind of strength is rare, and anything rare commands respect. Boundaries are the ultimate test of a man's intentions because they reveal whether he is genuinely invested in you or simply invested in what he can get from you. When you set clear boundaries, you are essentially saying, "This is what I will allow and this is what I won't." That line draws out the truth very quickly. A man who respects you will rise to meet those boundaries because he understands they come from a place of self-worth. A man who only wants convenience will push back, test you, or leave because he doesn't want to put in the effort that respect requires. In both cases, you win because you gain clarity about who he truly is. Boundaries aren't about controlling someone else's behavior. They are about controlling your own environment and choosing what you allow into your life. Most women hesitate to set boundaries because they fear losing the man's interest. They worry that if they say no, if they take a stand, if they refuse to bend, he will walk away. But the truth is, if a man leaves because you held to your standards, he was never meant to stay. A man who sees your boundaries as a challenge to overcome or as an obstacle to his control is revealing himself in plain sight, and that is a gift, because without those boundaries, you might waste months or even years with someone who doesn't truly value you. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are filters meant to let the right people in. They are a test, but not in the sense of playing games. They are a test of character, of respect, of intention. When you communicate a boundary and stick to it, you show strength. You show that you are not desperate for approval, that you won't trade your dignity for temporary affection, and that you trust yourself enough to walk away if your standards are not met. That confidence changes how a man sees you. Suddenly, you are not someone he can mold, manipulate, or take advantage of. You are someone he has to earn, and the act of earning changes him. It forces him to bring his best self forward, to operate with integrity, and to treat you as a partner rather than a possession. Boundaries don't just test men, they elevate them, pushing them to rise to a higher level if they truly want to be with you. The absence of boundaries creates the opposite effect. Without them, you give a man free rein to dictate the terms of the relationship. He learns that he can cancel plans without consequence, that he can disappear and reappear when it suits him, that he can get your time, your energy, and even your body without giving anything meaningful in return. And once he learns that, he will never respect you. He may keep you around, but not out of love, out of convenience. Boundaries are what separate a relationship built on respect from one built on exploitation. Another powerful aspect of boundaries is how they affect attraction. A man may be intrigued by beauty, charm, or chemistry, but what keeps him invested long-term is challenge. Boundaries create that challenge not through manipulation, but through principle. They force him to prove his consistency, to align his words with his actions, to show that he can handle not always getting his way. That process of proving himself deepens his own sense of commitment because people value what they work for. By setting boundaries, you are giving him an opportunity to invest, and people always value what they invest in. Ultimately, boundaries test more than his behavior. They test your own belief in your value. When you enforce them, you are declaring that you are not afraid to lose someone who doesn't respect you because you trust that you can attract someone who will. That belief is magnetic. Men sense it. They know when they are dealing with a woman who will not settle, and that awareness alone changes how they show up. Boundaries are not just lines you draw in relationships. They are declarations of who you are and what you deserve. And the men who are meant for you will not just respect them, they will respect you more because of them. Independence has always been magnetic because it signals strength, self-sufficiency, and confidence, qualities that cannot be faked for long. When a woman is independent, she is not waiting for a man to complete her, validate her, or rescue her. She stands on her own, builds her own life, and knows her worth regardless of who enters or exits. That energy shifts the entire dynamic in a relationship because a man realizes you are with him by choice, not by need, and people always value what they know is a choice rather than an obligation. Independence tells him you are not clinging to him to fill a void. You are whole already, which makes your presence a luxury, not a lifeline. Neediness, on the other hand, suffocates attraction. When a woman needs constant reassurance, constant attention, or constant validation, it drains the relationship of its natural balance. Men may tolerate it at first, but over time they begin to feel trapped. They sense the weight of expectation, the pressure to constantly keep you afloat emotionally, and that pressure creates distance rather than closeness. Independence has the opposite effect. It creates breathing room. It allows both people to thrive as individuals while still coming together as a partnership. That balance is where respect grows, because respect cannot exist when one person is entirely dependent on the other. A woman who lives independently communicates subtle but powerful messages without saying a word. When you are busy building your career, chasing your passions, and maintaining your own social circle, you signal to him that your life does not revolve around him. You don't drop everything at a moment's notice. You don't cancel your priorities to accommodate his. You show that he has to fit into your world rather than you abandoning your world for his. That shift in positioning is critical because it prevents the relationship from becoming lopsided. Men instinctively respect women who maintain their identity and autonomy because it challenges them to bring their best, to continually earn your time and energy rather than assuming they already own it. Independence also makes you unpredictable in the most captivating way. When you don't need him to be your source of happiness, he never knows what exciting thing you're working on, where your attention will be, or how you will spend your time. That unpredictability breeds curiosity. He wonders what's on your mind, what you're doing when he's not around, and how he can become a greater part of your world. Men may not always admit it, but they crave that sense of mystery. Independence naturally creates it because you're not glued to him, and your happiness is not tethered to his presence. Another powerful truth about independence is that it protects you from settling. When you depend on a man for your emotional, financial, or social identity, you're more likely to compromise your standards just to keep him, but when you know you can stand alone, you lose that fear of being without him. That freedom allows you to demand more, to expect more, and to walk away when your needs are not met. Men can sense that difference immediately. They know whether you're staying because you need them or because you want them. And the latter is far more compelling. Wanting someone but not needing them creates a powerful pull because it forces him to continually prove himself worthy of being chosen. At its core, independence is not about rejecting intimacy or pretending you don't care. It's about creating balance. It allows you to love fully without losing yourself, to give without overextending, and to commit without collapsing into dependency. When a man sees a woman who thrives on her own, it inspires both admiration and attraction. He doesn't see someone desperate to be saved. He sees someone who stands strong on her own and still chooses to let him in. That choice carries weight, and that weight makes him respect, value, and desire you in ways that neediness never could. Walking away is one of the most powerful moves a woman can make because it communicates finality, self-respect, and strength in a way words never could. Most people are afraid to walk away because they fear losing someone they've invested in, fear being alone, or fear they won't find better. But the moment you show that you are not afraid to leave, you shift the balance of power. You prove that you are not dependent on anyone else for your happiness or validation. Men feel that energy deeply, and it forces them to see you differently. A woman who has the courage to walk away is a woman who cannot be controlled, manipulated, or taken for granted. Walking away creates clarity in an instant. It strips away all the noise, the promises, the excuses, and reveals what a man is truly willing to do. If he values you, he will step up, close the gap, and fight to keep you. If he doesn't, he will let you go. And as painful as that may be in the moment, it is a gift. It saves you from wasting more time and energy on someone who was never prepared to invest in you. By walking away, you protect yourself from being strung along, from being someone's backup plan, and from falling into patterns where your needs are ignored. It is a reset button that instantly filters out those who are not serious about you. The reason walking away is so effective is because it removes negotiation. When you argue, plead, or try to convince someone to treat you better, you give them the power to decide whether or not to meet your needs. But when you walk away, you take that decision out of their hands, you decide for yourself, you are no longer waiting on their growth, their clarity, or their effort. You demonstrate through action that you will not tolerate less than what you deserve, and that decision carries far more weight than any words you could say. Men respect decisive action because it leaves no room for doubt. It sends a message: you either meet the standard or you lose access to me. Another reason walking away is so powerful is because it disrupts complacency. When a man knows you'll always be there no matter how he treats you, he has no incentive to change. He may take your presence for granted, assuming you will continue to wait, forgive, and endure, but the moment you walk away, you break that pattern. Suddenly, he is confronted with the reality of your absence, and that absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. He has to face the fact that your attention, your energy, and your love are not infinite resources he can waste. If he wants them back, he has to earn them, and if he doesn't, then you have already moved on, proving your independence and self-worth. Walking away is not just a tool in relationships. It is a statement about who you are. It shows that you value your dignity above temporary comfort, that you prioritize your future over short-term attachment, and that you will never sacrifice your standards out of fear of being alone. That kind of strength is magnetic because it is so rare. Many women stay even when they know they should leave, hoping things will change. The woman who walks away instead signals that she knows her value and refuses to settle. That conviction is deeply attractive because it demands respect. The final truth about walking away is that it redefines the relationship you have with yourself. Every time you walk away from something or someone that does not serve you, you reinforce the belief that you deserve better. That belief grows stronger with every choice you make, and when a man sees that you hold yourself to that standard, he understands that being in your life is not a right, it's a privilege. Walking away is not about punishment or revenge, it's about alignment. It is about choosing yourself first, always, and in doing so, you create a dynamic where anyone who wants a place in your life must rise to meet you, not drag you down.